I've always wanted to do a show with a friend of different generation, background, and views. Somebody who's almost done everything and will almost say anything. And in a perfect world, I'd get to join him whenever I wanted. Hi, this is Rob the Scholar, and bitch, I ain't scared. I'm here with Nate the Fool. How are you, Nate?
What's happening right now?
I was doing the opening from The View.
The View? I don't...
I knew you didn't. I knew you wouldn't get it. I was like, I hope he knows what I'm talking about.
I was like, what are you carrying on about? I'm always here, Rob. You act like I'm a special guest. Well, thanks for making me feel special. But...
Of course, yes. I, Rob the Scholar, am taking left chair, though, so I will be leading this episode today.
Oh, is that what they do?
Yeah, left chair is always the one who does all the announcements, brings in all the topics, and yeah, they're pretty much head of the group.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like, yeah, Whoopi Goldberg's left chair.
Okay, I guess so. All right. Well, now I know.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, hi, guys.
Hey.
It's great to be back, and we're only a week away.
I know. It's a little bittersweet because I like October. And I
Yeah.
love the topics that we've talked about this month. I hope we just keep getting better with our, choices, because this was a good month.
It's been a great month.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see how we top ourselves. I feel like next month I'm just going to be like, let's take it easy.
No, but we'll still deliver some good content. I have a few ideas, so
All
November will be fun too.
But enough about that.
Yeah.
So, nothing's going on with me. Like, I've started a 13 days of Halloween challenge for myself. At the beginning of the month, I was like, 31 days? No, I'm not doing that. And even 13 days, it's hard for me to make time to watch the TV. And yes, I'm spoiled and I have a little tablet, so I'm like, okay, well, I can watch it on the tablet, but even then I'm like, man, I'm ready to go to bed. It's after midnight, it doesn't even count anymore. And watching a horror movie back to back, I don't think I've ever done that in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You never went to like a double feature or anything?
I don't know, I've done that, sort of, but I have never watched a horror movie and then the next day watched a horror movie.
Okay,
and then
I
the
see
next
what you're
day,
saying.
yeah. So by the second day, and of course the second day, was Hostel, which was probably not the best choice. I probably should have like finished off with that, and it was just a lot. So I'm gonna probably have to throw in Frankenweenie at some point. But yeah, I'm trying to watch movies I've never seen before. Let you know how it goes by the end of next week anyway.
So for me, I'm actually doing the entire month. So I'm doing 31 days.
Overachiever.
I know. And these are movies that I have not seen before. I know that some people just watch their favorites throughout the month, which is cool.
And that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the 13 days is for. It's just a lead up. But I decided to just do movies I haven't seen before. And it's been really, really interesting. What I think is, well, I'm not saying this is like you, but I think a big process of just watching a horror movie every day for a while is having to choose one. I mean, yeah, you already have your list already figured out.
No, but it's changing. I'm not going to stick to it.
But the thing is just like, for me, the biggest challenge is finding one that actually sounds interesting. Because, yeah, 31 days is a lot. And I'm sure there's going to be more duds than successes. And it's like, do I want to, watch 31 days worth of like horrible, bad, movies or whatever?
And that's the problem, because they've been okay so far.
Yeah.
Or they've just not been to my taste. So it's a gamble every day. Last night was probably the first success. I watched The Babysitter on Netflix.
I like Babysitter.
And it was fun. There were some things that kind of offended me. And I was like, oh, I wish that hadn't been in there. Why did they write that line? But whatever. But I didn't take it too seriously, because it's more of a comedy anyway.
Yeah.
So, I guess that was my break from the gore and mayhem. Well, What do you have in store for us, left chair?
We are going to talk about the Saw franchise. And we chose this topic because obviously next week, or I should say 2 days.
Friday.
Yeah, this Friday, 2 days from now, the 8th installment, Jigsaw, will be out. And so I thought, what a better time to talk about the whole franchise and see what we liked and disliked about it. Some theories, anything we want to talk about. And for those who have not seen this, this is a spoilerific episode. So if you don't want to know anything, and trust me, this series has tons of twists, watch the series before you come to our episode. Otherwise, let's have some fun.
So, what do you like about this series?
Okay, so
really, I want to know.
One of the biggest appeals that I really liked about this franchise is that they came out with one every year.
Okay.
I did not have to wait 2 or 3 years to get a sequel, some follow-up that may or may not be good. They came out with one every year. It was something to look forward to. I felt like I was in this like exclusive club that just had something to look forward to every Halloween. Obviously, I'm too old to get candy, so I'm going to go to the movies and watch Saw.
I would just like to say something completely non-related, but I just saw a picture of Rob on his Facebook, you guys. If you're not his friend on Facebook, you won't see the picture, but there was a little note attached to it that said, "Just got carted on the dance floor. Wonder why that could be. Hashtag black don't crack." So, are you too old to get candy, Rob? I'm sure you can get some type of candy.
I'm not. So what's the age? Isn't the age like when you hit the teens?
I don't know. The last time I went trick-or-treating, I was 15. And it was...
You got away with 15?
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I went trick-or-treating.
Also, I had 2 kids in tow.
Okay.
So it was like me and
But you
friends,
had your own bag, though.
And we had someone's little brothers. Yeah, I got some candy. But then one of the kids, like, some assholes jumped out of the car and took their candy. So it's like we all gave our candy to the little kid.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really need it. We're just having fun. But anyway.
Anyways. But yeah, that's one of the reasons. I mean, another is that I, without a lack of, people supporting this movie, I think that they actually have a very inclusive, like, story. Like, its continuity is really good. I like the subject matter. Excuse me. I like the subject matter in most of them. And, it's not a gem, but I think out of all the franchises out there, this has been very consistent with the previous. Like, it literally connects. If not, it connects to one of them. And I just like that, how it all connects. And, if you really pay attention to it, I think you can get a lot out of it. But that's just me.
Why do you say it's not a gem?
Well, okay. Well, I'm just basing it on most people's, opinions about it.
Okay, fuck most people. I'm only talking to you right now, Rob, and everybody's listening to you, so I want to know how you feel.
Well, I know. I think it's one of the best franchises.
Then that's all that
ever.
That's all I want to know. I don't want to know what the fucking populace thinks because I'm not going to take a survey.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, when it comes to some of the more graphic details, I'm sorry, I know you're in the left chair, but I just have questions. I'm very curious.
Good.
Gotta pick your brain. Literally. How do you feel about that? Like, do you like watching horror films that are heavy on the gore and it's very, like... I mean, that's... To me, when I think of Saw, I'm like, well, I know what the fuck I'm getting into. So I'm gonna sit this one out. Because I know that somebody's going to get sawed in half, and it's not going to just be this quick thing. It's going to be this very slow thing where someone has to, like, either cut off a very important body part that won't kill them, but,
it saves
that'll
their
turn
life.
off the trap. Or they're like, I can't do it, and then it's like, well, it's going to cut off your head. So...
That's a really good question, and I have been watching this whole series leading up to this episode. Oof. I didn't get a chance to watch the last one yet. I'm going to watch that this week before it comes out. But here's the thing: I'm watching this over again, and I am noticing a lot of these traps are super torture. Like it's gross.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I am turning away. Am I disgusted by it? Yes. Does that mean the movie doesn't do anything for me? No. And I know what I'm getting myself into, just when I was answering why I like the series, I didn't even mention gore. It has nothing to do with that. I actually like it because of everything else but the gore. But the gore doesn't turn me off. Gore is never really said to me, unless it was just mindless gore to where there's no story attached to it. And that's the thing. I think that there's a strong enough story for me to not really worry about the torturous part. And I also look at the gore as a very creative thing. It's not like, ooh, how much blood can be spilled. I want to see how creative these traps are. Because, like, I would assume by, like, part 5, you would run out of ideas. And they kept thinking of different ways to engineer that stuff. And I was always just impressed by that. So that's what I got out of it. The gore never really bugged me to a point to where I didn't want to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
What about me? What?
Do you like this Saw series? You did watch them all, so
I've
something
seen them
kept
all.
you watching it. So
Well, the thing about me is I do feel I need to complete something. I don't like to leave things undone, which is even like I'm getting halfway through 13 Days of Halloween and I'm like, fuck. I got how many more days? Oh, shit. But yes, I wanted to finish it.
did you watch them all in theaters, or you just waited?
No. I saw the first one in theaters, and I enjoyed it. And then the second one came out. I think we've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
But second, third one came out. I didn't go to see them in the theaters, but I was curious to see them. And the third one, of course, they always do that bullshit where it's like, the last Saw. And next Halloween, we're coming out with another one because we want your money. Now, I can say that I do find the story to be intriguing, and the traps are very creative. But it pissed me off because I thought, oh, we're done. 3 movies. We're done. And even thinking about the storyline, it's like, that would have been a pretty good way to wrap it up. It's kind of like we tied it into the first one. Nice trilogy. Great job, guys. But they kept going and going. And now we are in 2017, and we're going to keep going again. I'm sure they're going to make more after this. I don't see them stopping.
I have a feeling
So-
we're gonna see another set.
Things like that do bother me. I feel like when you have a good thing, don't beat it to death, please. I liked the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The first one wasn't like heavy gory. You know, it was pretty bad, like the decisions they had to make. And then the second one, was different because it wasn't even supposed to be a Saw movie. Someone just took the script and they're like, well, let's rewrite this and make it a Saw movie because we want to like make another one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was originally it was a different draft of something separate from Saw.
Yeah.
So I have mixed feelings about it. I watched the whole thing because I wanted to see what the appeal was all the way through. And I think that I can find things I like from each film. Not the last one.
Yeah.
That last one, I was like, wow. I see why we're done.
Mm-hmm.
But of course we're not. And maybe that's just me, you know, that's the Scully in me, being skeptical and critical and judgmental.
So what would you say is appeal? I mean, they made all the way up to 7, so obviously the money was there. Why do you think people were going to these?
And that, separate from someone like you, who goes to the movies because it's very creative, the traps, the things that people have to do, the decisions that you're faced with as a human being, and you're trying to relate to that character. That's not what I... A lot of people who do enjoy horror films, I think, love gore.
They just go for the carnage.
They want to see people torn apart. And that's kind of scary that there's such a big part of our horror society who just likes horror films because people are being mutilated and murdered. And especially towards the end of the series, it's like, fuck. These people really don't even have a shot of getting out of these traps.
I know, and that was part of the storyline too, is that the person who took over, he obviously went by a different method, and I think he had a different belief system. So for the most part, he didn't make them, escapable, because he was stupid for one. He kept leaving clues to get caught. So obviously people surviving these traps, not to say that they individually would figure it out, but just from like testimonies and stuff, I think they would have. So they just can't live because he just doesn't know how to cover his tracks well enough, in my opinion anyway. But that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to kind of go through each one, just say what we like, dislike about it, and then just kind of go from there. Because, you know, a lot of people, again, hate on the story, how it's not fresh, or they're just coming out with them for cash grabs. But I think they were really thinking ahead with these stories and how they were all connected. And it took somebody really patient to make sure they didn't fuck themselves up as far as timeline, or just, you know, just putting themselves in a corner to where they didn't know what to do. And they always found something to do with each one. Mm-hmm. And say what you will about Jigsaw and his methods and his reasoning for doing this, it touched on a lot of social issues that some of them are actually going on right now. So the first one, I want to talk about this one. This is usually everyone's favorite, but I think it's because of the twist at the end. That reveal was so huge. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in my life being carried out, especially for it being right in front of you and hardly no one figured that out. I think that's the biggest appeal about part one is how unexpected it was. Yeah. But it's honestly not my favorite. If you rewatch it, the acting is horrible. One of the worst acting jobs throughout the whole series, in my opinion. There was even a scene towards the end where it felt very laughable because it looked real cheesy, a little homoerotic, and it just didn't look like it was shot very well.
What's wrong with homoerotic, Rob?
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying it just, when I went and saw it in theaters, it caused laughter because it just didn't really give off this like, oh, I'm gonna help you and you're in danger and we're in danger. It just felt kind of cheesy, like they were just trying too hard to look terrified and hurt and in pain.
That's not my recollection of the movie. That audience, we were lit and we were like, fuck. Yeah, it was brutal. I don't remember the acting being horrible.
I don't know. Danny Glover was just I don't know. Just him acting kind of crazy and obsessed and everything just was really weird. And Cary Elves, like, a lot of people kind of hated his performance in this, from what I read back then. But no, I mean, it felt very independent. It was very like closed in. There wasn't so many locations, and they got you more with the dialogue, less gore compared to the other ones. And again, that ending was just amazing. But obviously, with each movie, there was either a trial or a test. And a test was basically a person tasked with one rule or just a couple, and they just had to carry it out to win, versus a trial where they had many tests. They had many locations, many rooms. And the first one was a test because it was just two people. One of them had to kill the other, and the other one just had to live. And I think it was a span of, 12 hours or something. And the biggest thing about this was, Dr. Gordon, Cary Elves, he had taken his family for granted. He obviously was never home. He worked a lot, and he was cheating on his wife. And so it was like, let's see how much you actually love your family and what you're willing to do to see them again. And they were kidnapped and all that stuff. So by the end of it, it came close. He was hearing them over the phone, and, obviously he heard his family was in danger. So he went in. He cut off his own foot with a rusty saw that obviously wasn't that sharp. So he had a lot to cut through to get that foot off.
You know what I'm thinking right now?
What?
Like, I'm thinking about cutting off my foot, and it's like, if I start going, it's like, I'm good. I'm good on the top. But once I get back to the tendon, I'm like, man, I really don't want to cut through my Achilles tendon. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I really don't want to get through that last thing.
Watching this, and it was just the editing and the way that they were shooting it. It was just so gross. So I guess my question to you with this particular one, how much are you willing to do to save your family?
Jesus. I don't have a family right now, so I don't have to answer this question. I mean, I always say, like, I would I would die for my family. I would die for people that I love. But I guess I always think it would be a quick process. Like I would take a bullet for someone, I would jump in front of them.
Yeah.
That's not something I have to think about. But, cutting my foot off. I don't have any children right now, but I would like to say that I have that character and that strong sense of fatherness. That's not a word.
He was also tasked to take a life as well. So that, again, is another aspect. Like, are you willing to do that to save your own family? And he had a, wife and a daughter that he was thinking about. So,
and I think, he played the game, but also that he tried to save the guy.
He did. He did
like
everything he could
tried
to try and do that. Yes, I totally agree.
I think I would probably do my best to not kill someone also. Just when it comes down to children, I don't know. It's hard to not put them first. And that's the whole thing. So Jigsaw's biggest thing is that people don't appreciate life. This character was given a brain tumor. He also suffered from a miscarriage from his wife. Everything was looking down, and he attempted to commit suicide but lived. And from that had a huge epiphany that when you are faced with death is when you actually appreciate life. So he felt that this would be the only way that he can help people, and that was his sort of day job, is that him and his wife had a clinic. He helped a lot of drug addicts kind of get through the habit and all this stuff, and obviously most of it wasn't really helping, and so he felt like, let's put them through this extreme, death-defying thing, and this is when they'll know if they want to live or not. And so that's what started it all. Again, the first one was cool. I liked it. The twist was everything. I'm in the theater yelling and screaming. I'm telling everybody to go. I just couldn't believe it. I would compare this to, and not to say it's the caliber of Star Wars, but it's like A New Hope. That first movie came out and it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. All right, thank you for introducing it. I would not compare the second one to The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there. But, it was like, oh, this is the introduction. Blech. Currently, we are watching the trailer for Jigsaw. I'm not. I don't need to see it.
But
yeah.
So I don't know if you remember most of the traps that were in there, but do you have a favorite trap?
I guess Amanda's is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
The other one that comes to mind is the guy who was like crawling through the barbed wire, but I hated that trap. Yeah. That's my least favorite. Only because it was like, God, how the fuck do you get out of there? And Amanda's was my favorite because, she had to make a choice at the last second. And it seemed like a very easy thing to do. It's like, the key is in him. Great. I'll just get it out of him. He's not dead.
I know, yeah. Just that moment where he takes a breath and it's like, oh yeah, it's easy to cut through a dead body, but like, no, if he's living.
But it's like she just saw what's going to happen to her head, so.
Yeah. Well, you wonder if she was able to cut him without killing him. She stabbed the shit out of him to get that key.
Did. It was in his stomach.
I know.
So I think cutting someone's stomach open,
probably
the stomach
not.
is so delicate.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was my favorite trap too, the reverse bear trap, and God. I can just only imagine what would happen if it didn't, work. But yeah, so that was my favorite. Before we move on to number 2, anything else that you dislike about it?
I like the little doll. He's creepy.
Yeah, the mascot.
I think that's why I enjoy him, because he's the face of the Saw series. I want to play a game.
Yeah, that voice. Pig mask was...
The pig mask.
Did you get scared at all? Jump or whatever? With some of those attacks?
During the flashback sequence where the guy is taking photographs in his apartment, and it's like you can't really
because he needed the flash to see the light.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was good.
That was definitely
Fun
good.
fact, kiddies, when I worked at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, I was the Saw pig one night.
Really?
It sucked.
Oh, well, I'm sure that mask was pretty hot. You had to wear that
it was
big
all
robe.
hot, but they airbrushed my eyes, so I had to close my eyes, and they painted it black. And then when I opened my eyes, my eyelashes stuck to my face because they're so long, and I was like, "Oh, I can't see." It was a workout.
That's funny.
It hurt my body at the end of every night.
Ugh. Did you get the robe too? I would have loved that.
Yeah, I had
robe.
the big red robe.
I would have loved that
I would
robe.
open the door and like reach for people. It was fun. It was fun every time someone would be like, because they would like slam against the wall and run away. And then you'd have that asshole once in a while that was like, hey man,
ooh, yeah, what's going on?
What's up?
Yeah, you're so cool.
It's like, oh, you're so cool. Why are you here? Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So Saw 2 is pretty much I hear this is a lot of people's favorites. Or this was a good successor for a sequel compared to the amazing first one. But a lot of people really like this one. I think the biggest appeal is that there was a bigger body count and there was more interaction. The first one was just 2 people. This one had, I think, 7. And
see, that's what it is. I mean, people want a higher body count. They want more gore.
So this one had a house full of criminals, give or take. And, you know, they've all been to jail. And they're all kind of guilty for something. Not to say they deserve to die, but these aren't people that are not very likable. And it had a few more familiar faces as well when it comes to, you know, like, you know, their acting or whatever. But, yeah, I think this was, Donnie Wahlberg was in this one. And he was starting his horror cred in this because I've seen him in other titles with Lionsgate. And
oh, right, he was in that
Dead
dummy
Silence.
movie.
Yeah. So I like this one because, again, it's just like this big giant fun house and there's different traps and, you know, I got to see, you know, more creative ones in there. But of course it opened up the story and it gave me an opportunity to try and figure out his clues because the wording of the rules were very important in figuring out how to solve them and actually win the game. And honestly, every time he says the rule, you could basically figure out the twist or the ending with his clues. And I tried really hard to figure this one out, but I couldn't do it. After a while, I was just like, I'm just going to watch it. But when it was revealed, I was like, son of a bitch. He said it right in the beginning. And that's the thing. Most of these games are catered specifically for that person. It's some kind of sin or something of a personality trait that they continue to do that either harms themselves or harms others. And with Donnie Wahlberg, he was a detective who was sort of a dirty cop. He would fabricate, criminal files or plant evidence to make them look like they did it to get a conviction. And that's what these people in this house had in common. All of them went to jail because he fabricated and faked their files.
That's right, yeah.
And so there was obviously a lot of connection and personal, gain from being in this situation. But his rule was, his test, I should say, you just have to sit here and talk to me for 2 hours, and I will tell you where your son is, because his son was kidnapped. And on the monitors, you can see that his son, as well as all these other people, were stuck in the house. And he has a tendency to have a short temper. He brutally beats his witnesses to get a confession out of them. He doesn't do things the right way. He just doesn't like following the rules. But he has a temper, and he just goes for the easy route. And so all he had to do was sit there and talk to him for two hours. But of course, a countdown's going on. Everybody's being poisoned. He thinks he only has 2 hours to save him, so he goes for that route to beat it out of him. And turns out, if he had literally just sat there for 2 hours and talked to him, his son was fine. And I just thought that twist was amazing. And he told him verbatim he is in a safe place. And what do you know? He was literally in a safe in the exact same room that he was in. If he had just sat there and talked to him. But it's something that he wasn't used to doing. He can't just sit and calmly just figure stuff out like any good detective would. Yeah. And
I think that's probably the theme that kind of pops up for each film.
Mm-hmm.
People have to sort of deny their first instinct and basically go the opposite route. Don't do what you would normally do. Because if you do that, you're going to fuck yourself up.
Exactly.
You're gonna get everyone killed.
Yeah. What'd you think of part 2?
It was alright.
It was all right.
Yeah, I mean, the traps were okay from what I remember.
Yeah.
Probably the only one that sticks in my mind is kind of like brutal and interesting was the needle pit.
Yes.
And that sucked because that guy threw her in there.
Yeah, a lot of people cringe over that specific scene. It's just disgusting. And this is one of the reasons why this is not one of my favorites, is because I don't know, for me, I wanted the traps to do their thing, and most of them did, but a lot of the body count kind of came from the big dude, the one who obviously was the biggest baby out of all of them.
Oh yeah.
And he's the one who just kind of dominated the whole room and you know, was not taking them all out, but he was the cause of most of the trouble in there, and it wasn't even the house. And it's just like, I hate when you have like, this is what I thought of like the Romero series. I always go back to the Romero series. You have a movie about zombies and yet humans are still the evil ones.
Yeah.
And it's just, I hate that. I was like, I want to see the zombies do this. I don't want to see humans killing each other. That's not why I came. But there's a point to them, and I get that now. But that's when I Saw 2, I was like, ugh, this guy's the one doing all the work. Like, this is boring. I hate this. Like, why is this happening? It's just like, was
because
freaking me.
when you get into a group and it's a situation like that, it's survival of the fittest.
Exactly.
So I think that's what a few of them took to. Especially once it was like some of them started dying. It's like, all right, well, we just got to take care of ourselves. And he was definitely going to do that from the jump.
Yeah.
So it was all right.
Yeah. I did think this was fun a little bit. Again, I like that there was more interaction, more characters to talk about. And, yeah, so the twist at the end, again, very good. And the continuity of the story I thought was amazing. We got to see that Amanda, who was put back in the house as one of the victims, turned out that she has been helping him this entire time. And I thought that was
a little bear trap.
Yeah, I thought that was super clever to do and very unexpected. And it took us back to the first. The very last scene was right back where we started. And
right.
Yeah, and that whole bathroom thing. And I just thought that was a good nod. You know, if we didn't see a movie after part 2, again, that's a good way to wrap it up. Just keep us interested and like reward us for paying attention. That's what I like about this series. They always gave us something to look back at and be like, if you're paying attention, here's a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's part 2. So part 3, a lot of people don't like this one. It's either forgettable or it's just boring. But I actually like this one quite a bit. I like the message that it carries. I thought that was pretty good. And the story took a huge turn once it was over. A lot of stuff was revealed. A lot of things changed. And it just went into this turning point. Like you said, this would have been a good wrap-up. But I just think, to me, it just opened the story even more, that they couldn't close it. It was just not... They weren't able to shut... There was too many left, like, loose ends going on, if you remember it.
I remember Amanda and the doctor wearing the weird collar. But I don't remember if this was the one that sort of also closed with Jigsaw having a new follower.
Yes.
Okay, so it was whatever.
Ish. Like, they hinted at it, but we didn't get, like, full proof of it until the next one.
Oh, really? Okay, so the next one.
Yeah,
okay.
it was the next one. And this one, it was just more of Amanda being tested.
Yeah.
And also, the biggest theme of this third one was forgiveness. The father of this little boy who got into an accident, this college kid just hits him. And he went away for a little while. He, got out or whatever, and the dad just couldn't handle it. He started drinking. All he can think about was revenge and, sadness, and he wouldn't just move on. And he even had another kid that he completely neglected the whole time. So he was put through this test to figure out a way to move on from this, because it was obviously eating away his life. He had an estranged marriage and, again, a neglected child and all this stuff. So he kept encountering people that was involved in the release of this kid who hit his kid. And he had to burn his child's toys to get through. He also had to forgive the judge that gave him a lighter sentence, which I thought was interesting because the college kid who hit him was a black man, and they let him off easy. I thought he would have gotten a chair, but
Fiction.
right. But yeah, the dad obviously had a huge lesson to learn, and by the end of it, you would think that he would have more of an outlook on life as far as, just being able to, yes, you have a loss, use your family to get through it, and everything will be fine. But of course, at the end of it, he fails and literally repeats everything that he just did and didn't learn a damn thing.
So I guess the reason this movie isn't as great is that it was all about Amanda for the most part, which is fine, but her not trusting him, I think that was maybe what people didn't like.
Okay.
So he had to test her because he knew that she was not on the path anymore.
Yeah, she had this belief that this plan of his is not working. Nobody can be rehabilitated. Nobody can change. Everyone is still going to be the same. Your plan sucks. I don't like this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was kind of egging her on by being very affectionate with the daughter, just saying you're not the only woman in my life. I can flirt with somebody else, and even though they weren't together, it was just that you're a father to me, you're kind of a love interest to me, and you're sitting there I don't need you in this room, leave us alone. He was begging her to want to kill her, and it was just can you show mercy and let someone live? And that was her test. But we later learn in another one that there was some other forces forcing her to fail. And she was kind of put in a corner. I don't know if you remember, but she reads a note it was an envelope with her name on it, and she reads a note, and she's so distraught over what she read. We don't get to see what it said. We don't even get to see who put it there. We just know she can't handle it. And then afterwards, she goes crazy and fails her test.
Yeah.
And then the next one we find out. But yeah, I like the message in this one. What do you think about the whole just moving on? How do you think that you would handle a death in the family? I mean, you've mentioned before that there has been someone close to you that has passed away, but I mean, obviously it wasn't done by somebody's extent. You didn't need revenge or anything.
I've never experienced anything like this. A child dying is not the same thing as an elderly family member passing away. It's always sad. It's always a loss, if they're suffering at the end especially. But if someone is older, they've lived a full life. If a child dies, no matter the circumstances, it sucks. So I've never experienced that. Mm-hmm. And I guess I appreciate the twist of connecting the doctor to the father at the end. That I didn't expect.
I didn't get to that one either, so I thought that was good.
But I really thought that this was it.
Okay.
And then, granted, yes, they had some things where it's what is that? That's mysterious. So they kept going. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that years ago because I hadn't seen the movies, so I didn't know the stories.
Yeah.
So, I think the next two entries were more interesting to me.
Uh-huh.
And I guess it was just getting deeper into the puzzle.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I appreciated 4. And I mean, there were characters that I kind of forgot about.
Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg's character. I thought he was dead. I thought he didn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite trap or one that was just completely disgusting from 3? And here's the thing. Part 3, I think, had the most terrifying traps. The ones that brought the pain. I remember turning away from the screen more in part 3 than all the rest of them. So yeah, this one was really disgusting. But do you remember one?
Only
that
one
stood
that
out?
I not liked,
Uh-huh.
but because it was different.
Yeah.
The woman was hanging. She was tied up somewhere, and she was completely naked. And I think he hit her with, what is it, nitrous?
Yeah,
Yeah,
liquid
so-
nitrogen. Yeah,
Yeah, so she
kind of froze to death. Yeah,
completely.
that was
So
brutal.
that was just different. It wasn't as in your face and gory.
Yeah.
It was still like, ugh, that sucks.
the pig vat, the judge, when he was like nailed to the ground, and then those pigs kept going in that grinder, and then he was just literally drowning in that crap of
Oh,
and then it just kept, like, the flood would just keep
Ugh.
going, and so he had to burn his child's toys to get the key and go down there and save him so he wouldn't drown in that pig stuff. But
Ugh. Okay.
the smell and everything
enough.
was just number 4. This was actually one of my least favorites.
really?
Yeah, this had a lot of foregoing information. Like, we learned that Jigsaw had another apprentice besides Amanda in this one, and the way that it was revealed was a
had
very
to,
big
otherwise
twist.
it wouldn't have kept going. 'Cause
Exactly.
they were both dead at the end of 3.
Yeah, and this was a really big twist of the reveal of that apprentice as well. But this one dealt with obsession. That was the theme of this one. Obsessing over saving people's lives. You had Rig, who was part of the task force, who kind of was on the whole Jigsaw thing. He was put to trials with every single room he went to. He obviously had an opportunity to save them, but the game was that he had to learn that he couldn't save everyone, or not in maybe in some way, not everybody is worth saving to the point to where you need to do it for them. They need to save themselves, and that what he needed to learn. And like, his whole deal was that he was neglecting his wife. He was over obsessing over his job. That's all he would think about, was just getting an avenge for his partner's death and just solving this crime and looking for the missing, Donnie Wahlberg, and just trying to help everyone, and he couldn't do it. So, yeah, what did you like about Ford?
Well, I think it's kind of fucked up that that's his test of obsession.
Mm-hmm.
That's some old bullshit, because 2 of the people he worked with are dead, at least to his knowledge. I mean, Donnie Wahlberg is probably dead. He hasn't seen him.
Yeah.
So he wants to catch this guy. He's killing people. Maybe he's not directly killing them, but he is. And that's also some bullshit too, where people are always like, oh, he's not really killing them. He's not a murderer. He's a fucking murderer. Just because he's trying to teach somebody a lesson, albeit very by brutal methods.
That was something I was going to ask you at the end.
He's a
but
murderer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say it now.
Okay.
He's a murderer. So I don't want people to try to convince me otherwise. He needed to be caught. He has this whole game and this whole thing. It's a game. I want to play a game. You're not trying to teach me shit. So, yeah. Rig, I felt for him.
Okay.
I mean, he wants to save people, and that's part of his identity. That's part of his job. He's trying to protect people. Yes, he's neglecting his wife. And yes, if he just did what he would not normally do,
For
then,
90 minutes, all he had to do was stay away, and everyone would have been fine.
So, and even that first trap, he did manage to save her, but it wasn't in his best interest.
No.
She tried
to kill him. And that's the other thing. It's like, you can save people's lives and be there for them, but at the end of the day, some people are not going to be as gracious, and they're always going to think of themselves. Now that you bring that up, yeah, the sculpting trap, yeah, that one was probably...
I was so relieved. I was like, oh God, he actually saved her. Because all the other movies, that doesn't happen.
Out of all of them, I think that was one of my favorite traps, the ones that stood out. It was disgusting. It wasn't like I liked it and was cheering it on, but that one was pretty gruesome, and of course, the ending reveal, And like I said, this is what I like about this series. Every word means something, and if you pay attention, I think this comes off more as just a gore torture porn. You know, I think there's more to it than that. And like Rig, the first case that they were on, never go through a door that's not secured. And if he had just remembered that, he probably would have saved more lives. And he did it again because he's not thinking straight. He's only thinking about getting the job done. And I think that was another point of it, is that when you're a police officer, like, you have other people's lives on the line in your hands, and if you can't follow protocol, like if you don't have people's back and you're just thinking like, I just want to get in here and save people, like, that's not going to help you. And you know, so, but yeah, I thought it was kind of a filler, but that's the thing about it. Part 3 and 4 overlapped. They literally happened at the exact same time.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So this one to me was a little bit of a filler. I like the continuity and the editing and the way that they put it all together, and they introduced new people at the same time. So it's very creative, but wasn't really one of my favorites. But yeah. Yeah. So there's part 4.
I don't remember most of the traps.
You don't remember most of it?
No, I just remember the beginning and the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was the couple, woman who was getting abused by her husband. She had to pull those spikes out of because there was like spikes going through both of them. If she pulled them out, she would live. But when she pulled them out, they always went through the husband, and the husband wouldn't live. So if she wanted to, she had to literally like break the tie. Wow. And not, she had to have courage to like think of yourself, think of your own life, and not about his. He's not thinking about you. So if you really want to cut your tie from him, unchain yourself. And that was one of the traps.
I don't remember that trap at all.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So and then there's part 5, which I thought was super clever.
Part 5 I did enjoy, and it's so funny because it's so far into the series. That's where I definitely just start to check out.
Yeah, you think by now they've run out of ideas, they don't have anything going on, and they're still referring to the first one in this one. Mm-hmm. Like, they're still going back, putting so many different ties into what's going on and how the story started.
And they bring so many characters back and forth who have died.
Yeah.
I don't remember which movie it was, the 4th or the 5th one, but the prostitute from the 2nd movie.
Yeah.
We see her in a flashback at some point. It's like, it's like he has encountered these people throughout whatever. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them he has. So 5, and you mentioned earlier, I mean, these films do hit on some very big social issues. Like this one, I think, probably talks about gentrification, urban housing and city planning and just cutting corners and taking advantage of people. People
were very greedy. It was all about putting money in their pockets and not thinking about the little man. And it was about corruption. Corruption and cover-ups was the big deal. The biggest test was a group of 5 people who were all involved in some shape or form of the destruction and burning of this building. Unbeknown to the arsonist, he actually ended up killing 8 people inside. And it got covered up, but again, the whole point was just to make condos, parking lot, who knows?
Yeah.
Some mall. And they all had to kind of figure out the error of their ways, but also the biggest thing was working together.
Yeah.
Following this survival instinct of just thinking of yourself. And, you with the timer literally in front of you, you're watching a countdown to your life. You're not thinking clearly. Yeah. I get that. But they were warned, do not do what you would normally do. I implore you, do the opposite.
I mean, that first one, I would not have thought that it was all the same key. But I definitely wouldn't have left people chained up.
Here's what I thought. What I wanted to see happen was one person get all 5 of them. I don't think they all needed to get their own. I don't know if the chain could have reached all 5, but I would have thought that they would at least have...
Once you were off your chain, it's like you could do whatever you want. It's like, okay, well, I get mine, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm going to start helping people. Other people can do their thing.
Exactly.
So I've just...
It was really weird. In every trap, there was a way to help others, especially the big tunnel one.
Like that first one, I wasn't thinking clearly. Exactly. But that second one, I was like...
That thing is big enough to, but it was just the way that the rules and the clue was recorded, it just made it seem like because it was that probability that somebody was going to die in each one. So when there was 4 people left, there was only 3 tunnels. So it was like, oh, obviously one of them's got to go. It's like musical chairs. And it's just like, no, those were big enough. And I called shenanigans, but what did they do? They filled in the plot hole and they made sure. So, by the end of it, I mean,
big fucking whoops.
What the hell, man? So, by the end of this, they basically, all they had to do was draw blood enough for 10 pints of it to unlock this door. If there was 5 of them there,
God.
If there was 5 of them there, I think they would have
2 pints of blood? My God.
Exactly. But there
Don't
was
we only
only
have
2
10?
left. And oh my God, that was brutal. That was my trap of part 5, was that last one. That was just insane that they even attempted to try that. That was so crazy. I mean, do you think that you'd be able to think clearly in that situation, or would you naturally just think of yourself?
I don't know. See, okay, so I think about going to an escape room.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good example.
And, it's all fun and games. Nothing's going to happen. But I did one for my birthday, and I went with 2 people that I know. And then the other 7 people in the room, they knew each other. Well, no, maybe not. I don't know how many people. There was like 6 or 7 people that knew each other, and then 2 people who didn't, and they worked with my friends. And then I was over with this other group where it was just like 4 of us, but then all of their friends came over, and they were not listening to me.
Oh.
So that's kind of what I think would happen, where I would try to be like, I would try to definitely look at things. I'm not saying that I make all the right decisions, because I did make a mistake in that escape room. Yeah. But then later I was like, no, this is actually right. Please listen to me. And they would not. And then at the end, the guy was like, so this was correct. And, I would try.
Yeah.
But it's like, obviously, people aren't going to listen to me. We're all going to die in that situation. Because they're all just going to try to kill each other, and they're going to try to kill me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I naturally would... I mean, these guys were strangers, but I have this natural instinct to not necessarily put people over myself, but I'm always thinking of the room. So I think that I would naturally try and figure out a way for all of us to get out of this. I wouldn't just think of myself. Or I would just remember that there are other people in the room if I was safe, So, but you never know. I mean, I've never been in that situation, so... But, I've always been that team player type of guy, so... Yeah. But, this one was one of my favorites. I thought it was very clever. The characters, I think, were smarter because everybody knew who Jigsaw was, and they know that you have to listen to these rules, and you have to think, don't be rational, and move about, because you're going to activate the trap. They got smarter. So, that's why I like this one more than the others.
But then this one, at the end, is the room that, closes.
Yes.
Okay. See, they all do blend together a lot. It's
the FBI got involved with it, and there was a detective who was really close on it. Yeah. And he just wouldn't trust Jigsaw's puzzles. He just kept calling shenanigans, and he ended up activating and fucking himself up. So that was disgusting. The room literally just closed on him, and you just saw every bone break in his body. Nope. Okay. So then there's part 6. And this one deals with healthcare. Yeah. And coverage, what's deserving, who deserves insurance, who's worthy of living and dying. I love this one so much. Yeah. This one was really, really good because the main guy had to literally put his philosophy on how he makes decisions on who gets coverage or not put to the test. Literally every trap he had to decide if somebody was going to live or die. And I just thought that was brilliant, and I loved the whole healthcare theme of it. I thought that was clever, and that ending was so good.
No, it was not. I love the theme, and putting him to the test. This is how you treat people, so this is what I'm going to make you do. Yeah. So that was brutal. Every single room he went into, he had to make a decision, and oh God, it's terrible. Yeah. But that ending, no. No, thank you.
Why? Because it was gross, or you just would you? Okay, so I have two questions. The first one is, I think it was the second trap. He had to choose between an elderly woman who had family and a younger loner who had no family.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put you to this. You don't have to answer.
I'm not
this.
answering shit, Rob.
You won't answer that?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not killing people.
But yeah, I mean, I think that was a very difficult thing to do. And I'm wondering if he just based it on the fact that she was a woman, or because she had family, or because she was elderly. I don't know. I don't know how you would make a decision like that.
Don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So then I'll go to the next one. Well, you said you weren't killing people, but at the end, the mom, she really wanted to pull that lever, but at the end of the day, she couldn't live with herself. It doesn't mean she didn't want him to pay. But the son was like, fuck you. You killed my dad. I'm out. And so, what do you think about that?
I mean, so the son ended up killing him, right?
Yes, he pulled the lever. He
That
was just
sucks.
not having it.
That really sucks.
But just would you forgive him?
I'm not killing nobody.
Okay, that's fine. But would you have forgiven him?
I don't
Or
have
would
to
you have been
forgive
like, you
him
need to
not
pay?
kill him? He
Yeah.
doesn't need to pay.
Okay.
But I'm not going to kill him.
Okay.
That's not up to me.
Yeah.
It's not up to me. There are certain instances where I think people need to die.
Okay.
And that usually involves children. And that's when you're actively trying to harm a child.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just have some sort of weird thing in your head that you want to hurt kids. That's when I need you to go.
Yeah.
And I won't have, any lost sleep over doing it. But,
Okay.
no. I just don't. This world is fucked up, and we have a lot of fucked up systems in place that are not here to help us at all. And the people who administer these rules, insurance, housing, all of these things, they're people. They are people. And it's like, I hate to say, oh, they're just doing their job, but no, I'm not going to kill someone to make them pay. And it's such a brutal way. I mean, it's like, if I'm going to kill someone for something like that, it's going to be real quick.
Real quick, yeah.
I'm not going to inject them with acid. Oh my God.
That was so
Oh my
disgusting.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I'm not going to make someone watch him die.
Yeah.
She ain't doing nothing to me. I think I could pass the test.
Okay, so real quickly with number 7, because this was the worst of it all. The biggest theme that I got from this movie was, obviously,
Don't lie.
well, profiting off of other people's sorrow and stories. I mean, you had a lot of people who really went through an ordeal with this, and somebody thought it was okay to captivate on that. You heard those stories about people who claimed they were either there at 9/11 or had family. And
I've never heard this.
Oh, there were. I don't know any names off the top of my head, but there were some famous folks who actually was like, yeah, I had a cousin or fam in there who was like there, and then they got caught in their lie, and then their career went to shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why would you even do that?
Well, it's just for attention. It's to get more publicity and put yourself out there and get more money. Like they
No.
just want attention.
That's so stupid.
There's even people who have this. I heard it was an actual disease. Like people have this like need to feel wanted or have attention, so
I
they'll
believe
fake
that.
911 calls and illnesses and
Well, I mean, even
the
like
Sixth Sense when the mom killed the
Munchausen
daughter.
syndrome.
Yeah, she just wanted to get attention, and that people can't help themselves sometimes. So
Blech.
yeah, so there was the main guy in there, captivated on everything that was happening to all these other people, and he was put to the test. Like, oh, you want to claim you've been through this? Well, now you are going to go through it now, and so that was.
But this one was just impossible.
So I have a quick story to tell just with this one, and then we'll kind of wrap up. But before I saw this movie, me and a friend of mine who really loves the series, my friend Chris, like we were anticipating this because we were like, obviously this is going to be the final one. And we were just like, okay, what's going to happen? What's the big twist? We managed to watch this YouTube theory from a fan. It was so good. We were just like, I bet you that's the fucking ending. And turns out it was. And so we knew how the movie ended before we even saw it, and we were pissed.
Why would you even do that to yourself?
Well, because fan theories is just like whatever. Sometimes they're just so far fetched.
Fans are so dedicated.
This guy
sometimes.
hit it on the nose. He even had visuals. Like, it was insane how thorough his theory was. And trust me, I regretted it the moment I watched it, because as the movie progressed, it just kept proving his theory even more. And I was just so pissed off. Yeah. But yeah, the acting was kind of terrible. It was kind of predictable in a way too. Even if I didn't know the ending, it just wasn't. It's funny. It wasn't that creative,
because once they introduced, what's his name? I was like, why are you here?
Exactly.
The only reason you would be in this movie is to
if
give
you have
us
something
a big
to do with it.
Surprise
Exactly.
twist. So yeah,
it
wasn't a good movie, and it was just, there was no way the guy was going to be able to get any of his friends or his wife out of the traps. Like the last one, I thought, okay, maybe he'll get his wife out, maybe, because I don't know, but it's just like they were all just so impossible. I was like, this is just garbage. Like, what a way to wrap up,
right? So my favorite trap is the beginning, of course.
That was mine too.
Yeah, I love that trap.
That was the only one that was like justified. It's terrible, but she was terrible.
What was she doing? I mean, she literally was talking shit to both of them, and I'm just like, you really expect to live through this now?
They can hear you.
Yeah.
At the same time.
That was
I'm
crazy.
glad that they at least were like, you know what? She's got to go, because she's the problem.
Let's hope that we have the mentality, especially as gay men, to choose our friends first.
Well,
and
yeah.
If they are your real friends, always choose them. That's just always my motto.
Bros before bros?
Yeah.
Wait.
Nope. I don't know how that
Complicated.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, so I probably will not be going to see Jigsaw in theaters.
Okay.
Probably will not. I think that the production looks good. I think, especially compared... Oh, and also 3D. Stop. Please just stop.
Is this in 3D?
No.
Oh.
But
the last one was
in 3D, and it was just part of that time period where it was like every single thing was in 3D.
They had to.
So it was... they were just trying to make money. I don't care what you're trying to say to me.
Yeah.
But I probably won't see it for a long time.
So I'm not going to pay too much attention about what's going on. What I will say is the only theory that I have is that it's obviously become very cultish. I'm only gauging from the posters that they have all these different characters wearing the hat, or the pig hat.
It's like the hat?
The pig mask. Yeah. And, a cult is starting to become a trend now with TV and movies. I'm seeing a lot more of it. And I'm guessing there's some kind of following going on. And I also think that there's still somebody from these previous movies that we haven't accounted for yet. There is a theory. I don't know if it's because of a continuity error or if it's actually something that they tried to do. But Adam, from the very first one, he was handcuffed on his left leg. But I think either in the third or the fourth one, they show a body again where the handcuff is on the right leg. And so they're claiming that that body is somebody else and that Adam is actually still alive somewhere.
We shall see.
So quickly, I'm just going to rank them. I think number 6 is the best. Then I'll do 5, part 3, part 1, part 2, part 4, and then part 7.
Oh, wow.
It's all 3D.
4, is that close to 7?
Yeah, it was just forgettable. I don't remember that more than the rest of them.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's my rank. What do you think of Jigsaw's theory? Do you believe that when faced with death, that you'll have more appreciation for life?
Oh, I'm sure. Don't try to kill me, okay? But yes, when something happens, something that's scary or close to death, and you survive, yes, you definitely come back different. You come back stronger, and you appreciate things. Mm-hmm. One last question.
Yeah.
Do you agree with his methods?
Do I agree with them? I don't agree. See, he was hell-bent on that being the only way to do it. And I think the people that he chose were very extreme, very severe. Maybe that's the only way that he saw it. That was the world he lived in. That was the only way to get it in their heads. You know, because addiction is strong. It's hard to crack. And if you're, you know, if you're faced with a loved one dying or yourself, that's going to put it in perspective. Yeah, I don't agree.
And a fun fact.
Uh-huh.
Do you know Francois Saget? I think that's his name.
Yes, a
thought it
friend
was
of mine
so
pointed
funny.
that out to me with the screenshot. I had no idea.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything, but
No,
he
he
was
doesn't
there.
speak.
And
It's
maybe
like-
I did notice it before and I just forgot about it, but
It's
he's
just
really
so
into
funny.
horror movies.
That's good.
Yeah, so I'm sure he just loved being a part of that. For those who don't know who he is, this is probably only for the gays who are listening, but he is a very famous porn star, but he's also a writer and director.
Okay.
He's
I didn't know
really
he did all that.
He's really into the independent thing. I saw one of his movies at SIF in Seattle, and yeah, he was there answering questions. He has a mind. He has imagination, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think he doesn't have a mind.
But I mean, a lot of people wouldn't expect that from like a known porn star. So
Just because you like to have sex on camera doesn't mean you can't do other things. But yeah, I remember watching, what was it, part 6, and I was like, what's
Yeah.
he doing? What's he doing here?
But
Anyway.
okay, so real quickly, I'll say the bitch really. It comes from part 3. It's basically Jeff Denlin is the character's name. It's the dad.
Oh, okay.
I just hate that character so much. He literally learned nothing. And I
Yeah,
think that he
it's true.
got the easiest trial out of almost all of them. Yes, he was dealing with the loss of his son, but he barely had to hurt himself. And all he had to do was forgive. That's all he had to do. And then going through all of that, even if you still haven't clicked in your head to not forgive right away, at least understand who you're dealing with. Jigsaw literally gave you another question and he asked you to do something and you still couldn't do it. And you not only fucked yourself, but you killed your wife and you had your child locked up in a room that nobody knew where she was. All because you just needed him to die for what he put you through for 2 hours. Bitch, really?
Yeah.
Not worth it. I mean, like the rage in his face was just like, you just went through so much and learned so much and you still couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So sad. But anyways,
Too bad.
Too
well,
bad.
have fun at the movies on Friday,
yes,
Rob.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
I'll be at work.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to our long episode on the Saw series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and remember to rate, comment what you thought of the episode, what's your favorite thoughts on the Saw series, all of that good stuff. And if you also end up watching Jigsaw during the first weekend, go to our Facebook page and comment what you thought of the movie, and hope to hear from you guys. Thanks for listening.
Don't play any games that are too gruesome out there, okay? I know it's like Halloween, but, don't be weird. Oh, and also, I don't know if they're doing it again, but I really enjoyed the blood drive thing that they used to do every year.
Oh, did they? Oh, yeah.
Maybe not the first movie, but each year they'd be like, they'd had this creepy Saw advertisement with like a nurse in a weird uniform, and it's
Oh.
like she would have this needle with blood, and it
Oh,
was,
I didn't know that.
like encouraging people to donate blood.
That's awesome.
So random, but if they don't do it, hey guys, you should donate blood because I'm gay and I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
So do it, straights. And we'll catch you next time on Bitch I Ain't Scared.